Hello and welcome once again. My name is Pedro Akonde and with me is
Sarah Ishida.
we're talking about bullying. Tara thinks we should just focus on bullying, not on Darwin College. But Darwin College is the reason we're talking about bullying. Sylvester Aramani's sudden and painful death is the reason we're talking about bullying. If I'm correct, bullying started way back. We went to secondary school together and we were bullied in school. And way back then, it wasn't called bullying.
It's called
It was
fagging.
called fagging. A very, very nice name. But today, a child is dead, and there's so much talk about what happened, why the child was, bullied to death. The parents are grieving. The parents of the bullies are also grieving right now. And the question we're asking ourselves is what lessons have we learned from all of this?
Lessons, a lot of lessons, and I think the first thing that we've learned is that our children are endangered species. Children and parenting has gone to the dogs. In most of our homes today, we're not as conscientious as parents as our parents were.
So you're
You know.
taking it down to the parents, you're taking it back
I'm taking
home
it back
to the
home.
parents.
The bullies live in a home. The victims of the bullies live in a home. And it all comes down to the home. And also it comes to parenting. You see, because if bullying takes place in the school, for example, this has taken place in the school. Some parents don't even know that the children are being bullied. Some are complicit in it. Some don't. Some are overly. It's a mixture of so many things.
I won't blame the parents who don't know the children
The
are being
children.
bullied. And I would say that I was also a parent who didn't know my child was being bullied. My child was bullied in primary school. It took the effort of the principal, the head of school at that time to call my attention to it. I wasn't aware. The boy would come home. I would ask him how was school today. He would say fine. And it was the principal who, informed me that my son was being bullied by another student in the class, but they were taking care of it. So, but many times our children don't tell us this thing.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely,
So,
because there's a code of silence, and children don't want to be seen as snitches. And also the fact that is that most times when they report to us, the way we react can either ensure that they are bullied all the more.
I remember in those days, we would beg anyone not to go report us to our parents. We would do anything to ensure they don't go report us to our parents, because if you report it to your parents, you're dead. You're dead. But now, I mean, see what is happening.
I think you see bullying, like you said, a lot of the bullies, the children that bullied Sylvester were repeat bullies, offenders. Now, bullying is a behavior.
Yeah.
It's something that if you do not make an active effort to end, continues. And it continues not only in school. So you see that the child comes out of school and becomes a bully in the workplace, becomes a bully in the home. So it's a pattern. So if it's a repeat offender, and so many times we have this knee-jerk approach to things. So a child does something, you suspend him. Nobody talks to him while he's under suspension. He doesn't see anybody. Nobody tries to fully understand the reasons behind the action. So he comes back home, he comes back to school after 2 weeks, and you think, oh, he's learned his lesson, only for another incident to erupt again. So sometimes it's not the punishment per se. We don't follow through. It's a behavior pattern that will take time, to end. But a lot of times we just do, okay, go away for 2 weeks, do to be suspended, and then
The child thinks that's the normal way of behavior.
Yeah.
You have parents who bully their spouses. You have parents who are bullies at their workplaces. You have, such behavior that these children see. The children are like sponges. They soak up they soak up everything they see around you. So I guess that as a parent, you will never fully understand who your children are. They will not.
Never.
They will not. Yeah. But then again, the blame comes back to you.
Yeah.
So how do you get around it?
I think that we just have to be hands-on. You have to know your child. You really do have to know. You have to sit down and, you know, and how do you know your child? For me, I do a lot of scenario building or scenario imagination. You know, I don't know the particular word to say that to call it now, but I suggest a lot of scenarios with my children, and the answers to the scenarios that I bring up helps me to understand what's going on in their minds.
So parents are saying that Darwin College should be shut down. What do you think?
Well, for me, I shut down. When you say shut down,
So I mean shut down because
temporarily now
is
or
culpable.
permanent.
The school
or
is
permanent.
culpable.
Definitely, the school is culpable. There's no doubt about it. But shut down the school. Are we saying for investigations to go on and then afterwards open them? Are we saying shut them down completely? Because if we're saying that, then
They're
we're
saying
going to be
shut them
shutting
down.
all the schools in
shut them
Nigeria
down completely because this happened.
under,
It happened under their watch.
Well, the truth of the matter is that bullying is going on as we speak.
Everywhere.
In private schools, in
Secondary
secondary schools, in
everywhere.
primary schools, in public schools. I saw a circular recently, I mean 2 days or 3 days ago, from the Surulere, these people that LSDC something, those people that ride bicycles around. What's their
Okay.
And they were telling parents that schools are going to go on vacation, I think this week or next week, and they wanted them to know that, especially in some schools in Surulere, they know that after the school goes out, after they finish exams, they're going to fight. So these things are happening systematically all over the country. So that's why I wonder, when you say shut the school down, are you saying shut the school temporarily to ensure that investigation goes on? And I have a couple of friends
So
that
the
are
cry out there. So let's focus on this.
Yes.
The cry out there. Shut the school indefinitely. Shut it down so that it doesn't function as a school anymore. In fact,
anymore.
Deregister them.
They register them. Okay, fine. But they will give them time to do that. Why? Because there are other children in the school.
Well, I acknowledge that this thing goes on in every school. Darwin is just the poster boy for bullying in school, bad behavior. It happens in all the schools. It's unfortunate that this has happened to them, but it has happened to them. This is a lesson for all of us. So to say they should shut the school, I don't totally agree with that. They shouldn't have come out to say they were not Sylvester's death. That was a serious blunder.
I think they might deregister them for a bit so that it sends a strong message.
Okay, because you're a lawyer, I'm going to put this to you. So what do you think? Now people say those boys would be, they've already been detained in juvenile centers. What do you think the fate of these boys will be? Give us from a lawyer's perspective.
First of all, they will be tried as children.
Yeah.
So they're not going to be tried as adults. Two, they're going to be. It's going to be an uphill task for them. For them to find out exactly what caused Sylvester's death. We've heard from Sylvester. What Sylvester did was basically what's called in law a dying declaration, and it holds its weight in law. It holds a lot of weight because you're expected that at the point of death you're not expected to tell lies. You're expected to say the truth. So at that point and it was videotaped. So at that point in his life, at the point of death, he mentioned people's names. So it's going to take a while and a lot to extricate them, from this. But at the same time, also, we do know that he was said to have ingested some substance.
It was reported that he was
forced some substance. It was reported that he went to a traditional home to be massaged.
I don't know about
I
that.
read that somewhere, that it was massaged somewhere. So it's the point is that every reasonable man, when it comes to murder cases and cases of such, must there must be no what's the word? Every reasonable man must come to the conclusion that the actions of these boys caused his death. So if there's any break in causation, they might walk away without for murder. They might walk. They might pay for bodily harm, for assault, for whatever. But if they cannot be shown and their actions cannot be linked to his death, then they might walk away from murder. But they would, be culpable for other minor offences. They caused him bodily harm. They beat him.
So you mean minor offences? Bodily harm is a minor offence, but
compared to murder,
he died.
Yeah,
it was the bodily harm that caused his death.
Yes, but for example, we could have beaten him. Do you understand? And then he had an appendicitis that ruptured.
So it was that who caused it.
No, it may not have necessarily caused it. That's why they say the law is on us.
The law is on us. But there must be justice for Sylvester Oromoni. There must be justice for his family. They need closure. And what we hear now is that a number of other children are telling their parents, this happened to me too in this school, this happened to me too in this school. There should be justice. There's this case of Karen Hapuruche in Abuja, Premier Academy, the girl who died, the 14-year-old who died, yes, condom was found in her. Unfortunately, you see, what I say to people is Sylvester's death was, got us because there was a video of him. We saw him suffering, we saw him being held, we saw his mouth bloodied and all of that. We didn't see that of Karen. We didn't see.
It's not graphic.
So we didn't see anything about Karen to make us empathize. However, Karen should also not die in vain. She was a 14-year-old girl who was raped and sodomized in her school, Premier Academy Lugbe in Abuja. And up till today, no one has been arrested. No one has been, no one is held responsible for this child's death. There must be justice for Karen, there must be justice for Sylvester, and as many children as are being bullied in schools.
It will not be right if the school does not give it an enabling environment. So most schools, the good thing that I see will come out of this is that most schools will be strict about bullying. Most schools would have
zero tolerance.
Zero tolerance.
And by zero tolerance, we mean kids can come to you
yes,
without them being afraid, without you naming them as people who snitched on others.
Yes. So once that happens, we will find out that, and that also comes with the fact that, parents, no one is above the law. So it's you see, all these things, they're really part of what the society is. Once I'm assured that if I go to the principal or to the admin, one rich man's son is not going to, get the better of me, I will. So it's about time that we start to put structures into every part of our society and ensure that the law works for and against everyone across board.
Thank you. And on that note, we end this gist. See you again next time. Bye.
If you enjoyed this, please like, share, and subscribe so you can get notifications.